yourself?
No, it's a New York State license. It's what they look like.
The story opens in present-day New York, where we are introduced to a professional assassin named Matt. He is positioned outside a private residence, carefully observing it as if preparing to execute a mission. Inside the home, we meet Callie and his wife. Callie is visibly irritated by the constant barking of their dog, unable to relax because of the noise. Frustrated, he instructs the housekeeper to step outside and quiet the animal so he can have some peace. She obeys and walks out, but she never returns. With the exterior handled, he makes his way into the house to complete the job. Callie doesn't even get the chance to speak before Matt opens fire, killing both him and his wife without hesitation. After confirming that no one else is inside, Matt proceeds to douse the house in gasoline. He exits the property, and it becomes clear that his intention is to burn everything to the ground. The fire is meant to destroy any evidence and ensure that nothing can be traced back to him. As the flames consume the home, a family photograph catches our attention, revealing that Callie has a daughter. She is not there, and she is now the only surviving member of the family. The scene shifts to Switzerland, where we are introduced to the only surviving member of Callie's family, his daughter, Ella. We learn that her parents had sent her abroad to study, hoping to provide her with a better future. However, living alone in a foreign country has taken a toll on her. Without proper guidance or close family around, she has fallen into the company of girls who are not exactly good influences. They convince her that her boyfriend will take them out so they can attend a party together. Ella becomes excited at the thought, mainly because it gives her a chance to leave school grounds and experience some freedom. That same night, we are introduced to another man named Lucas. He enters a hidden underground location that serves as his operational base, a place where he organizes and plans his assignments. Soon, he receives details about a new target he has been contracted to eliminate. It becomes clear that Lucas is also a professional assassin. However, there is something unusual about this mission. When he learns that the target is Ella, a 17-year-old girl he has never met and has no connection to, he is visibly confused. He struggles to understand why someone so young would be marked for death. The story then returns to Ella at school, where she is summoned to the principal's office to be informed about what has happened to her parents. However, before she can receive the news, she manipulates the situation. She convinces her friends to lie on her behalf so she can slip away from campus unnoticed. Seizing the opportunity, she climbs over the school fence and leaves with her boyfriend. What she doesn't realize is that Lucas has been observing her the entire time. He trails her discreetly as she heads to an illegal party, something she shouldn't even be attending since she's underage. Unbeknownst to both of them, someone else is also watching from a distance. Ella briefly assumes that perhaps her father sent someone to keep an eye on her. As things unfold, Ella grows frustrated because circumstances prevent her from enjoying the party the way she expected, so she decides to leave. That's when Lucas notices something alarming. He isn't the only one tracking her. A man approaches Ella and suddenly pulls out a gun, clearly intending to kill her. But Lucas reacts instantly. He draws his weapon faster and shoots, knocking the attacker's gun out of his hand before he can fire. The sound of gunshots throws the entire party into chaos. Panic spreads as people scream and scatter in every direction. Taking advantage of the confusion, Lucas grabs Ella and rushes her out of the location. It becomes clear that this assassination order wasn't exclusive to him. Multiple hired killers have received the same contract, and now they are all hunting Ella. Eventually, Lucas reaches his car, quickly ushers Ella and her friends inside, and speeds away from the chaotic scene. But their escape is far from over. Immediately, a high-intensity chase erupts with multiple professional killers in pursuit, all determined to eliminate Ella. The danger escalates further when police vehicles arrive on the scene, corrupt officers who are secretly aligned with the assassins and intent on capturing or killing her. Lucas maneuvers the car through every road in front of him, but at each turn, more cars appear, attempting to trap him. His exceptional driving skills allow him to maintain control at extreme speeds, causing the pursuing vehicles to skid, spin, and crash behind him. The chase intensifies, culminating in a deadly duel with the final pursuing car, which follows him relentlessly until they reach the forest. Using precise timing and skill, Lucas executes a daring maneuver, flipping the car off the edge of a mountain. He descends to eliminate everyone inside the overturned vehicle. At that moment, Ella's boyfriend tries to take her away, unwilling to trust Lucas and confused by everything he has seen. Ella hesitates, knowing that Lucas is the one who has been protecting her through all the chaos. Suddenly, Lucas reappears behind them. He instructs Ella to throw away her phone and hides both of them just in time before another car passes on the road. He then explains to her that someone specifically hired assassins to kill her. Ella is shocked and asks if this has something to do with her father, but Lucas doesn't answer immediately. He is interrupted by a message from the organization. Her boyfriend leaves with her, walking away, while Lucas, now realizing that the organization is threatening his own wife and daughter to force him to kill Ella, returns to his car in shock. He follows them, eventually calling out to Ella to get into the car with him. Her boyfriend pleads with her not to go, fearing for her safety, but she places her trust in Lucas and enters the vehicle. As they drive away, Ella suggests reporting everything to the authorities. Lucas informs her grimly that the person behind her assassination has allies within half the police forces across Europe, making it impossible for law enforcement to protect her. Terrified, Ella asks for his name, and he simply introduces himself as Lucas, or Luke for short. The following day, Lucas and Ella arrive in the city of Basel, Switzerland. Lucas instructs Ella to remain hidden, aware that her face is now recognizable and could draw attention. However, Ella grows uneasy when she notices several needles inside the car, making her suspicious of Lucas. Parking the vehicle, Lucas exits to retrieve another car from the garage. He asks Ella to climb into the trunk for safety. Initially, she panics. Claustrophobia grips her, but Lucas reassures her that this is only temporary, just until they cross the border. The authorities and enemies are searching for a man traveling with a girl, and if she were seen, she would likely be killed without hesitation. Reluctantly, Ella complies, telling herself, "It's closed," and settles in the trunk. During the journey, Ella asks Lucas to speak to her continuously so that she doesn't become too frightened. Meanwhile, Lucas uses some of the drugs he is addicted to, revealing his dependence. Later, he asks about her father, prompting Ella to vent her frustrations. She admits she despises her father for the dangerous situation she is now in. Lucas responds by sharing a harrowing experience from his past. During the war, he stayed hidden in the same trench for 3 days to prevent enemies from discovering him. Ella is deeply moved by his story, realizing that he has endured struggles far more severe than her own. Ultimately, Lucas and Ella manage to cross the border undetected, successfully evading any pursuers or authorities. On the other side of the border, we are introduced to Gina, an FBI agent. She arrives at the mansion of a mobster named Richard and is immediately intimidated by the sheer number of dogs surrounding the property. Richard approaches her calmly, assuring her that she has nothing to fear as long as she remains useful to him. During their conversation, it is revealed that Richard was the one who commissioned Matt and Lucas to eliminate Callie. The reason for this assassination was that Callie had stolen a major illegal deal from Richard. Gina points out that Callie had also taken $25 million, prompting Richard to instruct her to locate the missing money. Gina reminds him that he acted hastily in ordering Callie's death, as he was the only one who knew the whereabouts of the cash, meaning it is now lost. Richard's response is cold and pragmatic. He hands her Callie's phone and orders her to use it to locate and capture Ella, Lucas, and the stolen money. Without another word, he walks away. Later, it is revealed that Richard breeds and trains a variety of dogs in extremely cruel ways, conditioning them to attack humans and even use them as tools for torture. In one chilling example, he takes a former associate of Callie and introduces him to a trained dog, allowing the animal to train on him under Richard's supervision. Lucas, exhausted from the intense driving, breaks into a roadside house to take a short rest with Ella. Once inside, he contacts Richard, demanding to know how Richard managed to reach his family. Richard calmly responds that he likes to have complete knowledge about the people who work for him. He then questions Lucas, suggesting that perhaps Ella reminds him of his own daughter, which could explain why Lucas hesitates to kill her. Lucas presses further, asking why Richard even wants the girl dead. Richard explains that her father betrayed him and he seeks revenge by targeting the daughter. In truth, Lucas had delayed completing his mission, prompting Richard to send Matt to finish the job. Lucas pleads, telling him, "Look man, let the girl live since you finished off her parents." Richard, however, is unyielding. He insists that once he gives an order, it is final. This is why he had already commanded Ella's death. His strict enforcement ensures that every subordinate knows the consequences of disobedience. Yet, because he has a personal respect for Lucas, Richard grants him a second chance. He orders Lucas to personally eliminate Ella, making it clear that failure or hesitation could result in the deaths of many innocent people, placing immense pressure on him to comply. Meanwhile, Ella finds herself alone in a bathroom, still wary of Lucas, knowing about his drug addiction and fearing he might harm her. Spotting a phone, she impulsively decides to call her father, unaware that he has already been killed. Gina answers the call, introducing herself and urgently asking Ella to disclose her current location, warning that her situation is extremely dangerous. Gina also inquires whether Ella is with Lucas, emphasizing that he is a trained killer and could potentially harm her at any moment. Startled, Ella drops several items in the bathroom, breaking them in her panic. Lucas calls out to her, instructing her to come out, prompting her to abruptly end the call. She bolts from the bathroom only to be intercepted by Lucas. As he approaches, Ella pleads with him not to kill her, and his resolve softens, touched by her fear and sincerity.
Please, you don't have to do this. You don't have to.
Seizing a moment, she manages to escape and runs through the forest until she reaches a roadside gas station. Attempting to call for help again, Ella is startled to find Lucas standing in front of her once more. She flees, but he reassures her, discarding his weapon and promising that he will not harm her. Lucas explains that he cannot kill her twice and has made the decision to protect her from that moment forward. Still hesitant, Ella insists on calling her father first. In a shocking revelation, Lucas tells her that her father has died. Though initially in disbelief, despite previously resenting him, Ella learns from Lucas that assassins had originally targeted her, and when their attempt failed, they turned their attention to her parents. Overwhelmed, Ella breaks down, crying at the weight of the truth. After Ella regains some composure, she and Lucas sit down in a cafe. Lucas encourages her to eat and regain her strength, though her mind remains consumed by the loss of her family. She admits to Lucas that the harsh words she once spoke to her father weren't truly meant. She had only been frustrated with him, nothing more. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted when a sniper fires at Lucas. He instinctively shields both himself and Ella from the attack. It becomes clear that Gina had tracked them down through Ella's earlier phone call, and that Richard had also dispatched his men to eliminate them. Lucas attempts to escape with Ella, but they are quickly cornered. As pursuers follow the trail of blood they leave behind, Lucas retaliates violently, ambushing one of the attackers, taking his weapon and using it to subdue and strangle him. Meanwhile, Ella manages to flee through the gunfire and enters a bathroom, attempting to escape via a window, only to find another killer waiting. Lucas arrives just in time in his car, running the assailant down and rescuing Ella. During their flight, Lucas suffers a bullet wound to his leg, forcing him to switch places with Ella in the car so she can drive. He moves to the back seat, uses drugs to manage the pain, and secures his leg, but Ella, inexperienced behind the wheel, accidentally hits a tree. Eventually, they stop at a train station where Ella tends to their injuries. Lucas calls his wife, merely listening to her voice to confirm she is safe, and then hangs up. He informs Ella about a contact named Danny, who will assist them in traveling by train. When a police officer approaches to check their IDs, Ella quickly improvises, pretending Lucas is her father and claiming she forgot her ID. Lucas is surprised at her trust given the chaos they've endured. Once the officer leaves, they board the train. After a few stops, Danny arrives with a first aid kit to treat Lucas. She notices Ella sleeping and comments on how rare it is for anyone to trust him. But Lucas bluntly states that she is actually the last person who should trust him. As Danny treats his wounds, Ella wakes and attempts to check on him, but Danny sternly warns her, explaining that Lucas is a hitman and that she cannot replace her father's absence with him. Initially embarrassed, Ella prepares to leave, but Danny stops her, emphasizing that Lucas is an addict who could barely save himself, and that Richard remains a constant threat. Confused about what to do, Ella listens as Danny gives her money, advising her to flee at the next station as the only real way to survive. Taking the advice to heart, Ella prepares to disembark at the upcoming stop. Meanwhile, Danny approaches Lucas, who is standing and looking for Ella. She hands him a syringe, saying, "These are new illegal drugs. Just try them." Suspicious, Lucas examines the needle and immediately asks again about Ella's whereabouts. Danny reassures him that Ella is eating and has some time, but the smell of the substance alerts Lucas that something is wrong. Realizing he has been betrayed, he suddenly attacks Danny, pressing the needle against her neck and demanding to know what she injected. Danny confesses that she was bribed by Gina to finish him off. Lucas realizes, with shock and anger, that the only person he trusted has turned traitor. Fear grips him for Ella, knowing that his location is now compromised. At this point, Ella has left the train and is uncertain of her next move. Suddenly, a man appears, asking if she is waiting for someone. Lucas emerges just in time, warning her to protect herself. A violent shootout ensues between Lucas and the attacker. In the chaos, Lucas successfully reaches Ella and evacuates her from the scene. Amidst the crowd at the station, Lucas manages to evade Matt, who is also hunting them, just as police arrive due to the gunfire. Matt is forced to disappear into the crowd to avoid being apprehended, leaving Lucas and Ella temporarily safe. After successfully escaping, Lucas takes Ella out to sea in a boat to keep her safe. Concerned about her well-being, he asks if she is all right. Ella, curious about his skills, questions how he is able to kill people so effortlessly. Lucas explains that it is simply part of his job. To demonstrate, he disassembles his gun and instructs Ella step by step on how to load it, emphasizing that with the right knowledge, anyone could fire it with just a press of a button. He even places the gun against his own chest and urges her to shoot, but she hesitates, refusing to pull the trigger. Lucas lowers the weapon, using the moment to illustrate the difference between knowledge and action. Later, Lucas brings Ella to his home. She notices pictures of his daughter on the wall and asks about her. Lucas reveals her name is G, but shocks Ella by explaining he has never met his daughter. His wife had left him before he saw her, preventing any contact largely because of his addiction. Ella is horrified to learn about Lucas's drug use and questions whether this is why he brought her to his home in the first place. Lucas brushes her off, saying,
Are you kidding me? I trusted you.
Go in the other room.
It's a great plan.
Despite this, Ella feels moved by his actions and insists that his wife was justified in keeping him away from their child. Frustrated and motivated by Ella's words, Lucas destroys all his needles, committing to quit drugs. Withdrawal symptoms begin to take their toll on him, and Ella stays by his side. She eventually discovers his device, using it to check for news about her father, confirming that he is indeed dead. Determined to seek revenge, she researches Richard, learning he is a powerful businessman with deep connections to her father. Motivated by vengeance, she gathers information about him and his operations. Turning to Lucas, who is visibly weakened from his recent struggles, Ella asks, "How much does killing cost today?" Lucas is initially confused by her question. She clarifies that she wants to hire him to assassinate Richard, offering to pay any price since Richard is responsible for her father's death. Lucas laughs, claiming he doesn't understand what she means. Ella presses him, asking what it takes to eliminate Richard. Lucas explains that killing is simple for someone who has nothing to lose, but exhaustion quickly overtakes him. Seeing that he cannot help her, Ella takes the gun from him despite his protests. She leaves with determination and heads directly to Richard's company. Concealing the weapon, she gains entry and demands to meet him, giving her name. Richard is initially shocked that she approached him alone. As he walks toward her, she raises the gun, tears filling her eyes. Confident in his control, Richard is unafraid, knowing she cannot bring herself to shoot. Ella hesitates, and Richard calmly walks away, leaving her terrified. Attempting to flee, Ella is intercepted and arrested as police vehicles surround the building. During questioning, she tells them that Richard killed her parents, but her claims are dismissed due to corruption among the officers. Meanwhile, Richard contacts Gina to ensure that his name remains untarnished and orders her to eliminate Ella, who continues to be a threat. Gina informs him that she has located his missing money, revealing that Callie had deposited it into his daughter's account. Richard commands her to retrieve the money at any cost. Ultimately, Ella is released because Richard chooses not to file charges. Gina takes custody of her, insisting she will be escorted home. With no other options, Ella reluctantly complies. Meanwhile, Lucas, having rested and regained some strength, wakes up and begins preparing himself, determined to track down Ella and find out where she went. As he surveys his surroundings, he notices someone attempting to break into his headquarters. Stepping outside, he confronts the intruder and realizes it is one of Richard's men. Lucas, however, decides not to kill him immediately, intending to let the man deliver a message to Richard himself, that Lucas is officially leaving their dangerous game and refuses to continue working for them. Before he can act further, the man unexpectedly attacks, attempting to kill Lucas. A brutal fight ensues, each combatant landing powerful blows and struggling for dominance. In the heat of the battle, Matt suddenly appears, aiming a gun at Lucas. Calmly, Lucas warns him, "Step back and leave. I don't want to hurt you." Despite the warning, Matt fires at him just as Lucas shoots in return. The clash ends with Lucas on the ground, having killed his former ally, his best friend, in the process. Meanwhile, Ella remains in the car with Gina. Gina hands her a bank form, instructing her to withdraw all the money in her account before any further threats come their way. Ella becomes anxious, confused about how this relates to the investigation into her father's death. She asks Gina how soon they will reach the airport, and Gina reassures her that they are close. However, Ella notices planes landing nearby, signaling danger. Realizing Ella has caught on, Gina quickly moves her to another location where Matt is waiting. At the same time, Richard calls Lucas, falsely claiming that Ella is dead. Shocked and enraged, Lucas decides to take revenge as Ella initially wanted. He launches a precise assault on Richard's palace, effortlessly eliminating the guards and infiltrating the building. Richard is in the midst of throwing a lavish party, but he is caught off guard when Lucas suddenly appears before him. Lucas drags Richard toward his office, intending to end him, but Richard reveals that Ella is still alive and being held in the palace basement. Lucas's hope is reignited, and he moves to confirm her safety. Inside the basement, he encounters Matt alongside Gina. Lucas reaches Ella, comforts her, and promises to help her escape. He plans to eliminate all threats afterward, but Ella refuses to wait for vengeance. Matt strikes her, triggering a firefight within the palace. Richard is wounded but manages to flee while Ella evades capture temporarily. However, Matt eventually corners her and shoots her in the shoulder, threatening to kill her as he did her father. Lucas intervenes with remarkable agility, disarming Matt and engaging in a fierce fight. During the struggle, Matt is shot in the back and dies, his death orchestrated by Richard due to his previous betrayals and failures. Richard then attempts to kill Lucas with a rifle, but he is instantly shot in the side and killed. In a moment of courage and resolve, Ella seizes Matt's gun, empties the entire magazine into him, and ensures he is dead. Lucas quickly gathers Ella, assuring her that she is now safe and that the worst is over. Remarkably, it is Ella who consoles Lucas, telling him he has lived up to the trust placed in him and deserves a chance to reunite with his daughter. Deeply moved by her words, Lucas witnesses Ella being transported to a hospital for treatment of her injuries. Sometime later, Ella is shown visiting her parents' graves, reflecting on all that has happened. She then returns to her current home, where she is living with her aunt. Lucas calls her periodically to check on her well-being. During one of these calls, Ella asks if he has finally been able to see his daughter. Lucas reassures her that he will soon, bids her goodbye, and hangs up. In a heartfelt conclusion, we see Lucas standing outside his estranged wife's house. For the very first time, he decides to enter and finally meets his daughter, beginning to reconnect with her. Having overcome his addiction, Lucas has worked to rebuild his life and is now ready to embrace his role as a father. With this, the story comes to a close, leaving a sense of hope and renewal.